Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and from today I'm gonna start a series for our tutorials. It's particular for the assignments and projects for your college or university, whatever you are enrolled in. And let's get started. So today we're gonna talk about variables, right? And how you're gonna define a variable in our studio, right? And you can contact me on WhatsApp or email if you want any help with your coursework or project for your school or homework, right? Okay, let's define a variable. Let's see how we can define it. So I'm gonna name it as var1. So it's a variable 1, and I'm gonna give it a value of let's say 38. So, and you're gonna select this line and hit Control plus Enter to execute it, and you got in the environment tab you got the value of var1 as 38. Let's see the type of it, right? Because uh, it's a integer, and let's see how R has stored it, right? And when we execute this, so it's telling me it's a double, but as we know 38 is integer, right? But R by default store any variable with the integer or double, whatever you are defining as double. So for forcing R to store it as an integer, what we're going to do is write L, right? And let's see again, and you are gonna see integer for this time, because we have forced R, and like we're telling R, hey man, we're gonna store integer in var1. So yeah, that's is for the integer or float. You can store with the decimal, but here's the main catch. You're not gonna use this assignment operator as any other programming language in the R, because it's kind of prohibited. It's not a good syntax to use. The general syntax or the mainly used one is this arrow. So you're gonna this is the less than sign and the hyphen, and you are good with declaring the variables. So let's do it again, and it will be double again, right? And you can do that L thing again, but we have seen that. So it's good practice to use that, and there are advantages of this also, like the let me write it down. The assignment operator is for top level thing. By top level we mean we can't use it in the control structures of if and else. You're gonna see in the next videos or next tutorials, right? But this thing, this arrow thing, we can use it everywhere, so it's better to use this one. And let's define a variable for string, right? And or the character, right? So my name, and I'm gonna state my name here with, right? Let's execute it, and let's see the type of this variable, how the R has stored it, right? So we can manipulate it if we need. So it's a character type. So that's it for this tutorial, and let me show you another thing for the boolean value. My bool value, bool-val, and let's define it as false. You're gonna keep it capital, and let's check the bool type. It's gonna be a boolean. Yep. Okay, so it's called logical in the R, right? The boolean value will be called as logical in the R, and you can define this as T also for true. So it's going to be called as logical. So that's it for this tutorial, and if you have like any assignment or homework from the college or university in which you are kind of stuck, so you can contact me on this WhatsApp. Just text me on this WhatsApp or mail me at this Gmail, and I'm gonna help you out with that. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. Uh, Today we're gonna talk about string concatenation. So what it means actually is adding up two strings together and in the R. So that's the main catch, right? And just wanting to let you know, you can contact me on the WhatsApp or mail if you have any problem with your coursework or project you are working on, right? And let's see how we are gonna define a string first of all. So let's say first name, and I'm gonna write my first name Abed, and the second name or the last name is Ahmad, right? And we wanna concatenate or add up these two strings. So how we're gonna do this in R? Because in any programming language other than R, it's really simple like that. So you're gonna use the print, then use the first name, and let's use the operator just like any other language mostly allow this, right? But let's first create these variables. So we're gonna see these values here in the environment tab, and let's print it. So you can't use the add operator in the R for string concatenation. That's very clear from this error, right? There is another thing. Let's do a comma, right? Because in some programming languages they let you use comma for this purpose, but it's giving error, so it's also not allowed. So let's just do one thing, print this first name. So yeah, it's working absolutely fine, but it is not allowing me to concatenate another string with this print command. So what we have to do is use the paste command, and then how many strings you have to give is depend on you, and then to add a bracket, and you can see we have created or added two strings together. So it turns out in R you have to be known of or like be aware of the functions which allowed you to do stuff. Without that you can't do things on your own. So the paste command is used for this specific purpose, and there are many more. So that's it for today, and I'll just see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and today we're gonna talk about while loop in R. So how we are gonna use while loop in the R Studio. And one thing I want to tell you, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or mail if you have any problem with your ongoing coursework or projects of your university or whatever you are enrolled in, right? Let's just get started with the while loop. And so the basic structure of the while loop in the R is, you're gonna write the keyword while, and in the brackets there will be a logical expression, and there will be curly brackets, and in curly brackets you will write what you want to execute based on a condition, right? And let's say I want to print my name, and my name is Obed, right? And this logical expression, let's say I just uh, say true, right? Okay, let's just see how it goes, right? So you can see it keeps on printing well, because it's always true. We have no condition to make is false yet, so just click on there and print escape, so it will just come out of this loop. Otherwise it's an infinite loop. Let me just write it down, and you can get this code also by contact me, or just text me on the WhatsApp, right? Infinite loop, right? Because it will just run infinitely times, right? And let's make this infinite loop something called finite, which is like we will give a condition, and up to that condition is met, it will execute my name. Otherwise it will just come out of that loop. So how we're gonna do that? Let's create a variable, uh, give it a value of 1. So this is now 1, and we are saying while x is less than maybe, yeah, 11, because we want to print bad for 10 times. And then we will just say x, you're gonna increase x with 1. So let's just print it out. Okay, so we got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So it go 10 time executed our while loop expression, and based on a condition. So that's how you uh, can use the while loop structure in the R Studio. And I hope you can understand what we are doing is, every time it execute my name, it's gonna increase the value of x by 1. So it will be for the second time it will be 2, and 2 is absolutely less than 11, so it's gonna again print my name. And when the x will be 11, and 11 is not less than 11, so it's gonna be false, so it will just stop and come out of this loop, right? So that was it for this tutorial, and I hope you have understood the while structure, and I will meet you in the next video. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And today we're gonna talk about for loop in the R, right? So how we can use for loop is, you're gonna write the keyword for, then the parentheses, and in the parentheses you are gonna write the iterations, the number of iterations, or you can say a range, or you can say a vector also, right? It is the functionality of R. Like everything is R is basically based on the vector and vectorized operations. So we're gonna talk about that also in in the course, right? So how you define a vector is like you're gonna define a variable I, and in by using in keyword you're gonna give it a range, and then in the curly braces you just want to execute an expression, and this is just the simple for loop. Let's just execute it. So you can see my name is printed for 10 times, and it's always better, or you can say 90% times it's better to use for loop than the while loop. Like just we saw in this while loop, you can just count the number of lines and the number of lines here, right? So it's always better to use for loop. It's more convenient, it's short, it's super awesome, right? And you can contact me on WhatsApp, is from this number, and email me whatever you feel comfortable. If you are facing issues with your coursework and projects related to R, machine learning, deep learning, and subjects like that. So that's all for the for loop in the R Studio, and I'll meet you in the next. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And in this video we're gonna talk about if else statement in the R. So how we can use if else control structure, right? And you can contact me on this WhatsApp or the mail if you got any difficulty with your coursework or the projects you are working on in your university or school, whatever you are enrolled in, right? Let's get started with the if else, right? Let's say first of all, let's see the basic syntax, right? So you're gonna use the keyword if, then the parentheses, then the curly braces, and in the parentheses we're gonna have a logical expression, and then in the curly braces you're gonna write what you want to execute, right? So this will execute it if this part will be true. And let's just see for the first time the if part, and then we will talk about the else part also. So let's make a scenario. So we want if the name of the person is Obed. Let me just quickly make a variable which will have a string, and it will be Obed, right? So if the name is Obed, and take it as a virtual secretary or something like that, right? So it will ask name, it will if it will be Obed, then we will, so we can say name is equal to Obed, and we are saying with the help of this paste. If you don't know, just check the lecture 2, right? It's used for string concatenation, and we are saying hello and then in the comma we're gonna use Obed. Let's see what we get, right? So this is the simple scenario. Okay, yeah, great. We're using name, right? Yeah. So what just happened is it just checked this logical expression, which is, if I just run it in the console, it will give us true, and if the value in here is true, is giving the return as true, then it's gonna print this statement, right? And it will just concatenate hello and whatever the name is, right? But let's say some other person has comma, and let's just keep it as this. So if it's obeyed, then he will be welcomed, otherwise else please come back later. Right. So whatever the value, if it's not the obeyed, right, let's say a person named John has come, or maybe some other person, so then it will say just come back later, you are not obeyed, right? So please come back later, because it didn't give this value as true, right? So if we just run this now, it's gonna give us false, right? So it is false, so this line will not be executed. What will execute is whatever is in the else part, right? So this line. So that's it for the if else. And I want you to know we are not just using numbers in our R, because I just don't want you to get overwhelmed, because in R, like colleges do is like they throw out numbers on you, right? Like R norm, P norm, and things like that. So just let me introduce. Yeah, so it is like giving you normal distribution and things like that. We are gonna see this lot of numbers in our tutorial, so just keep on with the lectures, right? And you can contact me on this WhatsApp if you got any problems. Thank you. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. Today we are gonna talk about vectors in R, so how we can create vector and how to manipulate it and all the things. So I want you to know is like everything in the R programming is a vector, right? Because this was originally created for like mathematics persons, right? The people who are interested in linear algebra will use RStudio. So that was the motive. But now it is being used for all kind of purposes. So it's kind of like hard for normal people, like who don't understand mathematics that much, that why it's everything is a vector and all that. But it's easy to grasp, so nothing to worry. So let's create a vector of some numbers in it, right? And let me just say it that a vector is just like a list, like you make a list in Python or any other language, or an array, right, with data in of same data type, right? Or you can say with element. So you have elements of same data type in a vector. So let's say we want to create a vector, first vector, right? And you want to store some numbers 2 4 6 7. Yeah, so you want to create a vector consisting of these numbers. So what you have to do is use a C function, which is short for combine. So you are saying to R interpreter that combine these number into a vector, right? And let's just execute this line by control plus enter, and you got your first vector, which is numeric, as it says num, and it has 5 numbers, 2 4 6 7 8, right? Great. Let's check the type of this variable or a vector, and you have the type is double, right? Because everything in R is by default if it's a number, it will be stored as a double uh, data type, right? But you can just change this into integer by saying this L thing to R, and let's check this now. So you got the integer now, right? And this was first way of creating a vector, and you can obviously create a character type of vector, the same thing. Let's say A, B, sorry, and just remove this, and if I just say it as second vector, which will be of character type, obviously, right? And if I just now add an integer or a float in it, right, this will not affect my type for the character, because we are bound to have the same data type in a vector, so it will automatically convert this integer into a character, right? So yeah, that was it for vector. And one thing is, like, you can use is numeric function to check or verify, like, if it's a numeric vector or a character vectors, right? And if you do it same for this one, it's gonna give you false because it is a character vector. Yeah, and I want you to know that you can contact me on WhatsApp, or maybe mail me at this Gmail uh, if you have anything with your coursework or projects, or maybe anything you are working on, right? And okay, let me check if we have missed anything. And you can also check is character, so it's gonna give you true, right? So the other way of defining a vector can be third vector using a command default function, which will give you a vector within a range, right? So if I just check this vector, so you have this as the vector, right? And there is another way. There are many ways of defining vectors, so just feel free to explore it, right? Fourth vector, and there is a replicate command. Let's say I want to replicate number 5 up to 10, and let's print it out. Yeah, so you got number 5 replicated up to 10. So that was it for the vectors, and we will do many operations on vector in the further in this course. Thank you. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And today we're gonna talk about empty vectors in R. So in every programming languages we can create empty list, right? Empty list. If you are from Python, you would know that you can just create an empty list just like that, right? Just square brackets with nothing in it, right? But in R, how we can create this? And one thing I want you to know, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or mail me at this email address if you want help with your coursework or projects or whatever you are enrolled in. Okay, let's see how we can create an empty vector in R. Uh, so I can just say empty vec and the assignment operator, and then I can just say using replicate function which I have just showed you in these tutorials, replicate NA, which is empty value or not applicable, or whatever you want to call this, just it will be just NA, empty, right? And you can say 5 times, right? And just see this vector. Okay, you got 5 NA values, right? And then you can just remove them, right? Whenever you want to replace it with some other things. Let's just create a list, my vector, and let's store some numbers in it, right? Yeah, so we got 5 numbers, and what we want to do is multiply each element with 2 and store them in the empty vector. And you can get this source code by just checking out the description. Okay, so we have this vector. So let's say I create a loop for I in my vect, and I'll just print it out one by one. So print I. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we got 2 4 5 6 7 these numbers, right? And we can obviously multiply it by 2, right? Yeah, so we got multiplied, but we want to now store it into this empty vector, right? So what we can do, empty vect I, right, and yeah, I'll just check it. But I want you to like observe what we are doing here is empty vect, and we are accessing the position or index I, which will be obviously 2 then 4 then 5, so it will not give us the perfect result, but we can deal it with many ways, right? Let's just see. Okay, so now if we see our empty vect again, so we got NA for I just told you like it will store 4 in the 2 position because of this 2, right? But how we can do now is we can just say remove the, so we can just now remove the NA values from our vector. And how we're gonna do that, we just empty vec, and then in the square brackets we're gonna say which is not so is dot na will check if it's a null value or not. So we are just not including the empty values right into our list, and let's say it now. Okay, just execute the whole code. Yes, you got the 4 8 10 12 14, and I want you to know that in R we can do this operation just like that. So this is my vector R, and if I want to multiply it by 2, I can just say mult by 2 and my vect and then 2, and it will do the same thing. You can see we can just do it in one line, but I want you to understand like the traditional approach how we can implement in this programming, right? Because it is a vectorized programming language. So if you have any question for me, just text me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for. Hey guys, it's me UBprogrammer and welcome to the R programming series. And today we're gonna talk about metrics in R. So how do you define and create matrices in R Studio? That's our main topic, right? Okay, and one thing I want you to know about, if you are enrolled in any bachelor's or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or email to discuss about your coursework or projects you are working on. Okay, let's just get started with the matrices. So basically what matrices are, let me just write it down and you can get this source codes also checking out the description. So matrix is basically the combination of vectors. So we have seen vectors and have done some operations on vectors in these tutorials. This is the playlist, right? And now we are just combining these vectors into a matrix or a table format, because as you know data everywhere is mostly in the tabular format, right? Let's just define some vectors first. So I'm gonna call vec1, which means vector 1, and defining vector is 1 2 3 4 5. So it's contained 5 elements and I have defined one vector. Let's create 2 more. So I got 3 vectors and what we want is now combine them, right? So I want to create a matrix. I will just name it as matrix, and then I will use a function which is by default in R, giving me this very exact functionality to combine these vectors. So let me just write down all the names of my vectors and see what we get. Let's just run. Okay, and just see the output. So we got a matrix which has all these elements in it in the tabular format, right? Now we want to change the column names also, right? So how we can do that is just say the column names of this matrix and just define a vector about it, right? So I will just say col1, and don't forget to keep it in the quotation so that they can be known as strings, and then column 2, and I will just copy paste it, Okay, column 5, column 4, column 3, column 2, red. And just like that, I'm gonna define rows, because it is by default taking the names of my vector, but I want to define something else, right? So I will just use row names command and just give it as dummy row names. You can do it accordingly as your data set you are preparing or any matrices you want to prepare, right? And then just close it down and just let's again see our matrix. So we have successfully changed the column name accordingly and the row names also. You can just say these row names as, let me just, because sometimes we just want to give it an index, right? So 1 2 3, and it will exactly do the same thing. Just comment it out. Now just run this. So you got like 1 2 3, and you can do the same with columns also, but let's do this the same as before. And now we will access these metrics, right? And one thing I want you to know about, you can use column bind also, because R bind is short for row bind, and you can use column bind also. Just define these vectors and combine them with column bind, and if you see now, you will just see it is combining as vectors. So this is one column, then this is the second column, then the third vector is our third column. But you have to now change the row names and column name accordingly, because you got now 3 columns instead of 5 columns, right? Okay, but let's just do the row bind for now, and now we will see how we can access these elements, right? Let me just make room for that one. Let's say I want to access this element 13, right? So I will just write matrix, and in the square brackets I will just specify my row name, which is 2, and the column name, which is 4. Let's see what we get. So we got 14, right? Exactly what we wanted. And let's say I want this full first row, 1 2 3 4 5. So I'm gonna do that. Let me just matrix, and we'll keep it a space, and for rows I will just use 1 and comma nothing. Let's see. So you got 1 2 3 4 5, right? And same goes for the column. If I just wanted first column, the full first column, right? So I can just nothing comma 1, and it will give you the first column 1 11 12, right? So this is the first column. And so what you can take from this thing is that if you are specifying it as the first index, it will be row, and then the second will be column. And if you are not defining or specifying anything, it will take just everything from that row or column, right? So that's all for it, matrices, guys. And let's create some more matrices in our further course, and we will just create a data frame about it, right? And I'll see you in the next video. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And today we are gonna talk about data frames in R programming, right? So how we can create data frame, how we can manipulate data within that data frame. We will load CSV and do things with the data, right? Okay, and I want you to know, if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can always contact me on this WhatsApp or email to discuss about your coursework or projects, right? So let's just get started with the data frames. So let's say I want to create a data frame in RStudio, right? How are we gonna do that? I will just make a variable, let's say df short for data frame, and then I will say read.csv, and in the parentheses within quotation marks I'm gonna give the name of my CSV file, which is this file I want to read. You can get this code and file just checking out the description, right? Okay, and let me just quickly write the name of that file, data, right, and .csv. Don't forget to add that extension. Let's just run this line of code. So we got data in our environment tab, which is our data frame, right? And you can see it has successfully loaded in the RStudio, and we can do things with it now, right? Okay, now let's say I want to grab some particular rows in our data frame. Let's say I want to grab the number 5 and number 25 row, right, from our data frame. So I'm just gonna write df, and in the square brackets I'm going to pass a vector, which is my row numbers 5 and 25. Let's just execute it. Okay, yeah, and you have to, yeah. So why we have to create add that comma? Because we want all the columns, right? And all the columns but rows only 5 and 25. So if I just what you can do is just, yeah, if I just run it now again, control L for clear, and then control enter, so you can see 5 and 25. It's still in the second line because of the space, right? So but you can see we are only getting observations for 5 and 25 number row, right? And we can do the same procedure for the columns also. Let's say I want all rows in our data frame but columns only. Let's select the column. I want only CP and CHOL. So 1 2 3, CP is 3 and 5 is col. So 1 and 5. Let's run this now, so you can see I got okay, not 1 3, right? Yeah, so you can see I got CP and CHOL, which is I think cholesterol level, but these are all the health parameters, so I kinda just Google about that. So make sure you know things about your data set whenever you are working with data analysis problem, right? And yeah, that's how you can load the data set and select the rows and columns. Let me just quickly select columns, and this thing is by with indexing, right? And let me just quickly make a note for select rows with indexing so that you can access this file easily, right? Yes, so this will give you fifth and third and fifth row. Okay, and load data frame. So you got all the comments and you can get this file through the description. Great. And let's say how we can select our column in a different manner without $sign. So that df, and you can see our R Studio is already telling all the column name. How cool is that, right? Let's select a column chul. Okay, and you can see we got a vector for all the columns, but this was still a data frame. So that was like the difference between these approaches. So select column with $, right? So that's the concept behind the $. You have to be sure about that when you are using it, right? So if you want a data frame, use that. If you want a vector, use that, right? Great. And let's say I want to print all the column names of my, let me print column names of data frame and call names and then df, and this will give me all the column names. You can say it's xcp and other things. Okay, and let's say I want to grab unique values or see how many unique values in a particular column, right? Let's check for this CP or maybe sex, which is male and female. So I can say check unique values. So these are all the operations which you can use with your data frame, right? And data frame and then sex. And if we see, we got all the numbers also, and the so these were 210 observation which can be seen here, right? So 140 plus 70 is equal to 210. So 140 is male, 70 is female. How cool is that, right? And if we want to check the number of rows in our data set, although we can see obviously from here, but just for the information or to print out, right, in the command or console, you can use an row and then df, and you will get the exact number, right? And we have the command for encode not. We can use length also with the call names. Let's give it a try. So we got 14 columns, right? All of these 14 columns. So this was check number of columns. Great. And that's it, I think, for this video. You can see we have performed some different operations on the data frame, and we saw how to load the data frame, how to create a data frame, right? And you can contact me on this number if you are facing any difficulty with your coursework or university project, right? Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer and welcome to the R programming series, and today we're gonna talk about filtering the data frame, right? So how we can filter it through the condition, right? And one thing I want you to know, if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or mail to discuss about your coursework or projects, right? Great, let's start with the filtering thing, right? So this is our data frame. Let me just show it to you, right? Now let's say I want to filter it only for males, right, or females, whatever we want, right? So we can say filter it for male records. So we want to include only records which are for males. So I can say df, and in the square brackets I can say df dollar. I hope you know this dollar sign from our previous lecture. And I can say sex and equal, then I can say male, right? And a comma, because I want all the columns in my data frame, so that's why I'm including the comma. Let's see, and you can see we got age and sex only for male. But let's say I want to create a new data frame about it, right? So I can say df male and assign it that value. Now let's run this line and we got df male, which contain only records for males, and we can just do it for females. And here f, and here fi fe, and you can see we got, and that is exact 70 plus 140 is 210, right? Great, so we got our df male and df female, which we have filtered through it. But what's the science behind it, right? So let's just run this line and see what we get. So we will get a vector of true and false values. So wherever it will be true, like it will be male, so first true record was for male, you can check it from there. So it's giving us true, and for the third it's giving false because it is female. So whatever the value here will be true, then it will be included in the data frame, otherwise it will be just omitted, right? And let's behind the scene. So I'm just making these notes so you can check it out in the description, right? And let's see, filtering through multiple condition. Now we want to filter it through through two conditions. So first condition will be same, we want only record for male. Let's make a new condition, and the second condition will be, what you can say, I want this column to be less than 250. Just see that. So we don't want these values 289, and just for practice purpose, guys. So, and so after this comma, before this comma, I want to create an AND operator. So where is AND? Yeah, here is AND. And then I will say df, and my dollar will be cholesterol less than through 250, so it should be less than 250, right? Now let's see df mail with call. Yeah, so we got our df mail and we got only cholesterol value which is less than 250. So if we see this, so this 289 value is not included in our this data frame. So that's how you can group, or you can just give multiple conditions while filtering out through your data frame. And you can use or operator also through this line. This means or in R, and this means and. So and will give you values when both of conditions will be true, and or will give you value true if any of the condition will be true. So that's all for it, and I will see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and today we're gonna talk about visualizing data frame in R with ggplot package or library, whatever you wanna call it, right? So we got this topic, and if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or mail to discuss about your coursework or projects, right? Let's get started with the topic, right? So first thing I have done is load our data frame. So that's our data frame we are working with in this lecture series, and then I will say load the package, and the package name is ggplot. How you load it? You just say ggplot, and it's better to include it in commas or quotation to make it that string. And let's just run this line, so you can see it's loaded without errors. But if you don't have installed it, you can just say install.packages, and then you just write this name, so it will just install it for you, right? I'm not gonna install it, I've just installed already, and I have loaded the package. So let's use, for now, for this lecture, we will use qplot function of the ggplot, right? So what this does, right? So I will just say qplot, and what I want to plot, let's take, first of all we have to define the data. So just define the data whatever you are working with, and then you can choose your variables, right? So I want to plot let's say these cholesterol levels, right? So I will say x equal CHOL, and yeah, I'm done with it. Okay, so you can see you got your, let me just make it bigger. Yeah, so you can see you got your histogram distribution within just one line of code, right, for the cholesterol variable. Great. And you can do all type of customization with it, and this is just the basic function of ggplot. There are many more, right? We will talk about them. Let's say I want to use color as blue, right? So you can say we got linings and stuff with the pink line. That's like how this function does. But if you just wrap it with the eye, it will just do the work for you, right? So you got the exact blue color. This eye function is just the requirement of this particular function. You don't have to always use it. It's just for how this function is being written in the backend, right? Great. And let's copy this line, and let's say I want to now x will be my variable, let's see, for male and female both. So I will say sex, and y will be CHOL, cholesterol level. And now let's see what's happened. Okay, so you got plot as, so you can easily see that female tend to have more cholesterol than male. So how super easy is that, right? And you can manipulate size and other parameter also with this. Just use that I to not allow qplot to mess with your parameters. And let's see now. So you got like huge balls, right? And let's also create the box plot. So if you want to know about more box plot, just leave out a message. I will explain it for you, right? And I will just say geom is short for geometry, right? And I will say box plot. And you got a box plot for female and male. So this is like you can say most of the values are lies between here and here for male. So these are values, and like these are the outliers, you can say, right? That's great. And I hope you like this function, which is like really basic. And one thing you can do is just put a question mark before that and qplot, and you will get all the description and usage about all this or you can say parameters which you can then change and do things. So you have like we have used geom, color, and many things. You can just give it a try on your own also, right? So that's all for this qplot. We will do advanced visualization from now on in our lecture series. I hope you will enjoy that. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And in this lecture we're gonna talk about scatter plot in R with ggplot, the famous package for data visualization, right? And if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or mail me at this Gmail to discuss about your coursework and projects you are working on. Great. And let's get started with our scatter plots. So I want to obviously load my data or load my package, right? And how I will do that, ggplot2, just run this line. You got your package installed and load. For install you got install.packages and package name, right? Great. And I will use qplot for just basic scatter plot. Then we will do advanced visualization also in this course, right? And I will just specify my data frame from which I have to include the data in our plots, right? So data is the df, and df is the health parameters related to heart disease. So what df tells, some health parameters, and in the end it tells HD, heart disease or not, right? So no is like you don't have heart disease, and Y is like you have heart disease. Great. And let's just pick out some variables for a scatter plot. So let's say I want to plot scatter plot between this cholesterol level and this thallic variable, which is heart rate maximum achieved by the person. So yeah, let's do that. Just try to get some domain knowledge whenever you are working with the data, right? So it's kind of helped you with your analysis, right? So I will just say X will be my thallic values and Y will be cholesterol values, right? And let's just plot it. Let me make it bigger so that we can see. So you can see we cannot establish higher positive relation between it, right? So it's not like who have more heart rate achieved will have more cholesterol, but in some cases yes. So it's kind of 50%, right? Positive correlation. Okay, great. But how we can get more insights from this chart, right? So let me just give it a color parameter and say HD, which is heart disease or not. Let's run this out now, and you can see. And let's for better visibility, let's increase the size as 3 and let's run it now. Okay, so what does it tell now, right? We can see we got a kind of cluster here of red values, which is when you don't have a heart disease. So what this stage tells is like that's maybe the normal, more of a normal kind of position. So when your heart rate max achieved is only above than 150 or between 160-70, and the cholesterol level is up to 300, or I kind of don't have much knowledge about these parameters, but what the data says is like this where I'm circling my mouse cursor is the normal position where you don't have a mostly you don't have a heart disease. So you can get insights from already, right, from this data. And you can do many more with the visualization with this ggplot. Many things in this package are like done automatically, like this grid, uh, these labels, X and Y labels. You can add titles also, like there are many more, right? Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I will see you in the next one. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer and welcome to the R programming series. And in this video we're gonna talk about some advanced visualizations with ggplot2 package in R, right? So this is our topic, and if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on WhatsApp or mail in order to discuss about your coursework and projects you are working on. Okay, let's get started with our topic. I have downloaded a CSV and made a data frame, load in it RStudio. So you got like film names, movie genre, movie ratings, movie budget, and year of release, right? Let's just do one thing, that we will just check the call names column names of our data frame, and you got these column names, right? And you can obviously see these are not like uh, written in the best form, but we will just deal with it, right? We can obviously change column names by giving it a vector, but let's keep it this way. We will just copy paste this, right? And let me just import the library ggplot2, and maybe in the quotation, and yes, so we have just loaded our library. And now this time we will be using ggplot function. Before that we were using qplot, which is like q is for q, so it was like qplots, right? But that's the main function of this package, so we will use this now. It's same like you have to mention your data name, which is df. We have created this here, and then in the ggplot package or ggplot function, you have to define aesthetics of your charts. So aesthetics are like your mappings, what you want to show in your chart. So like x and y. So x will be budget millions. Okay, budget millions. And let's say y will be audience ratings. So we want to check how our budget is related with the audience ratings, right? And let's just run this line and see if something happens. Okay, so it's saying budget million not found. Yes. Okay, so it's like one more this dot, so that's why I was just saying to change the names, but let's delete. Yeah, so we got like empty this anything. So what we have to do is we have to add geom point function to show it as a chart, right? Geom point, and let's run it now. So we got, let me just make it bigger. So you have audience ratings and budget millions, but let's you can always like change the size and colors, it's on you, but let's see what we are getting or what we can get inside from this chart. So as the budget grows in million or increase, right, so it's like less chance of getting a less audience rating, right? So if it's not like you are spending a lot and getting the lower audience rating, but it's like you are it's not like that you are spending a lot, but it's not guaranteed that you can get highest rating, but instead our chart is showing you can get average rating with the maximum budget, and the producers who are spending less budget can also have audience ratings up to 90%, right? So budget matters, but not in like the absolute way. So you can have a great storyline and have a good audience rating. That's like our chart is showing us. Now we will see other charts in and graphs which can be produced with this ggplot function. So let's plot some histogram or density charts. So I will just make a comment about that, density charts. And so what we can do is we will just take this line of code and paste it here. So ggplot data is this, and in the statics we have only one column, right? Only one column, because we are producing a density chart. And then with the plus sign I will just say geom, and this time it will be hist for histogram, right? Let's plot this out. Okay, so let's make it full histogram. I think I am just misspelling it or something like that. Okay, and yeah, so you got the histogram with the ggplot function, right? So you can see the more movies are being made in this budget, in the, you can say 10 to 70 or 10 to 60 million dollars, right? And you can just specify your bin size through the geomhist function, and you can just arrange it accordingly, right? And then color can be also being set. I want it red. Let's make it. Yeah, it has to be in the quotations. So you got like these borders, and you can fill it also. Let's fill it with the genre, right? So what's the comedy, and like which genre does this film belong to, right? Let's see that how we can do that. Fill, and in our function we had genres. This is like without dots, that's good. And if we run this now, okay, we haven't found the genre. What's the problem? Let me just again check the spelling and all. Yeah, let's just keep it in a quotation mark, right, to make it as a string. Okay, and it's not being short. Let's change the bin size. So you have to like experiment with your data, right? So okay, it's not giving us the result. Let's change something else. So what we have done is we have just created a variable, a separate variable, so that we can just override the statics afterwards, right? And use the ggplot function data, and then our static, which is our x budget million, and then we are adding in that variable the geom histogram function with the bin width turn, and the aesthetic fill is equal to genre, right? And then color is all black, right, which is like for this border. So you can see this category or these films belong to action, which have higher which are in that point, right, with the budget millions. Great. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer and welcome to the R programming series, and today we're gonna talk about facets. So what exactly facets is? You just combining multiple plots in a one picture or one image, right? So you have to combine multiple plots to just tell the story in only one image, like you wanna tell the whole story, right? So that's why you will use facets, and it will be a grid system. I will just show you in a sec. And I want you to know, if you are currently enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or email to discuss about your coursework or projects you are working on. Great, let's just start with our uh, topic of facets. So we have just loaded the data frame as we do before, and we have movie names, genre, ratings, budget of the movies, and release years. Right, let's just bring our famous library ggplot2 and execute it. So we have loaded our package. For facets, let's just make a single plot first, and then we will just combine it for multiple rows and columns, right? So we will use ggplot to make a scatter plot. So data is my df, and in the aesthetics I'm going to define my x and y. So x will be uh, let's make a scatter plot of budget million and audience rating. So how the budget million affect the audience rating, right? So let's just do one thing, print out the call names so that we know what we have to copy paste through call name, because as you can see it's kind of messy, right? You can change it through just give it a vector, and it will change the column name, but we're just gonna paste, right? Copy paste, and x is the budget million, so just copy paste it, and y is, what's a y, audience rating. Super great. And for this we are gonna define geom point for scatter plot. Right, let's just execute it, see if we get some result. We are getting result, absolutely right. Awesome. And now for the main thing, the facets. You just have to put one word and ggplot will do it for you. Just use facet grid. Let me just put it in the separate line, facet grid, and here you are defining rows or columns. So what the concept? Get a squiggly sign. I hope you note this sign. This is just down below the escape key on your keyboard, right? Press shift and then press that key, and then you can write on the whatever you write on the left hand side, it will be rows, and whatever you write on the right hand side, it will be columns. So let's just look our data frame and grab. Okay, so we will do it for genre, right? So genre, yes, genre. And here for rows I will just give it a dot. That means I don't want any rows, I want columns, right? So for every genre it will tell me budget million and audience rating. how cool is that, right? So you have done a facet grid on your data set, right? So what can we get insight, what insight we can get from this chart or facet grid, right? So for the action, whenever you increase budget, it's more likely to get a higher or good audience rating, because for action, you need a proper set or proper environment, right? So you're gonna spend a lot to get audience rating. But in comedy, it's nothing like that. You just have to be good at humor, and budget does not affect audience rating that much. So that's the like very cool insight you can get from this data, right? And for other, you can also get things. And adventure is also like when you spend a lot, it's more likely you will get higher ratings from the audience, because you gonna give them a good environment for your movie, right? And nothing goes for romance, because romance doesn't need that budget. Yeah. Okay. And let's do one thing. Let me just do it for the histogram or density plot. We just created a density chart in our previous tutorial, so let's copy paste it and see what we get. Yeah, so this is the density chart. Let's see the plot, and we get our density chart or histogram back, right? For the budget millions, right? And we have added category as genre, as the legends. And now what we can do is just copy paste this facet grid, and for this time we will do it for rows, genre and dot. So for every genre we will get a histogram. Let's see what we get. Okay, super awesome, right? We got like budget million distribution, histogram distribution for every genre. So it's like for action it's like that, comedy it's like that. So comedy, you are spending less budget here, but for action you are spending a lot, just for the reason I told you before. It's my understanding. Yeah, so that's it for this video, and you can contact me on this WhatsApp if you have any difficulties with your coursework or projects you are working on. Great, thank you. Hi guys, it's me UBprogrammer, and welcome to the R programming series. And today we're gonna talk about coordinates in ggplot. So we can set and change the coordinates in ggplot in RStudio. Cool. And I want you to know, if you are enrolled in any bachelor or master program, you can contact me on this WhatsApp or email to discuss about your coursework and projects you are working on. Great. So we know how we can create a scatter plot, and we are doing it for budget and audience rating. So how budget affects our audience rating, so we're gonna see that. So let's just run these lines. These are the things we are doing it from the very start in the series. And we got our scatter plot. It's cool, right? So this is a plot, and uh, what we can do is now we can change coordinates. So it's for x axis, the coordinates goes from 0 to 300 million dollars, right? And we can just cut it to, let's say I want to cut it from 0 to only 200. I don't want to go for 300. Let's just run it now. Okay, that's but we did not get it. Let's see why we are getting yeah, I just put up equal, but it's not required. So let's plot it again. Yeah, and you got for the 200, right? And let's do the same for y axis. So I want only for 0 to 75 from this point, right? We can just easily do that. Yes, so we got it only just add a plus sign for adding a layer, right? So we got it only for 75, and here 200, which we have set it through xlim and ylim, which is short for x coordinate limit, y coordinate limit. Great, but the thing is, our interpreter is showing you that it removed some data as you wanted, because after 200 there will be some rows in our data set which have the budget million more than 200, right? But when you set a limit, so R will just ignore those values or remove those values. But we can just not do that if we don't wanna do that, right? So let's create the plot again, and for this time we will use another function which is coordinate. Let me spell, yeah, so Concatenation, and in that we can just pass it as a parameter, so xlim, and it should go as a vector. Great, and let's just copy it out for our y. So let's execute it for only x. So you can see now it's not showing that you have removed some rows, but it just zoomed it out in our scatter plot, right? And we can do the same for the y coordinate. Let's do it. Here y, and here 75. Great, and execute it. So we will just get the values from 75, and you can see these little dots, so it's kind of like telling you that we just zoomed it out. But if you see it through this, you are not getting those little dots because it just removed all that rows which were not in this limit, right? So that's how you can manipulate your x coordinates and y coordinate in the ggplot2. And if you are having any difficulty with your coursework or project, contact me on this WhatsApp and I will give it a hand for you. Great, thanks.